everyone, this is Teresa, and today I'm going to be showing you how I am making masks right now using cotton. The mask I'm going to make today is going to be a mask that does have a bendable nose piece and adjustable ear loops. So stick with me and I'll show you how I've been doing this. You don't have to be able to cut perfectly straight, and you don't even have to be able to sew perfectly straight to keep yourself and your family safe. So I have found that I'm working with 3 sizes of fabric most of the time. If I'm doing a child's mask, kids 7-year-old and younger, I will do a 7.5 by 5-inch rectangle. You'll need 2 pieces of fabric for that. If I'm doing an 8-year-old or older child, all the way through adults, especially women, I'm going to do a 9 by 6 rectangle, which is what I have here today. I have 2 pieces of 9 by 6 fabric. I've got the right side out facing in. And then if you have, if you or a family member just feels like you need a little bit more space or a little bit more room, I make this extra large size for my husband, and it's a 9.5 by 7-inch rectangle. And he just finds that that helps cover his face just a little better. So start with your 2 pieces of fabric that, try to wash them before you sew with them and iron them flat before you cut them. This will help with the shrinking afterward. It won't shrink as much when you wash them afterward. And you just want to make sure that your right sides are facing each other. And when you go to sew them, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't talk about some of the other things. You are also going to need 2 9.5-inch pieces of elastic. It can be any kind of elastic. You can actually even use shoelaces, although if you use something that does not have any stretch, I would maybe use a 10.5-inch piece. You'll need a nose piece. I purchased these on Amazon. These have an adhesive strip on the back. You can put them inside, which is what we're going to do today, or you can just attach them to the outside of a finished mask already. Also, you'll need the 2 adjusters for your ear. These are little silicone pieces. I also purchased these on Amazon. They're skinny on one side and fat on the other side, and I will show you how to attach those at the end, as well as an extra piece of thread to attach those, and you'll need some straight pins to help you with the pleats. So we're going to start, and since I have actual words on this mask, I need to pay attention to which side I want. So I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm going to start about 2/3 the way down the mask. I'm going to make a couple stitches, and then I'm going to reverse stitch so that it's nice and secure. When I'm about 1 inch from the corner, maybe a little more if you like more room, I'm going to add my piece of elastic to the first corner. And all I need to do is fold it up, and I'm just going to stick the elastic in diagonally so it goes to the corner. Fold it back over. I avoid using straight pins here just because I find that to be a hassle. And you're going to stitch right over the elastic. Lift your foot while the needle is still in it so you can make a right turn. Nope, I think I could have gone one more, so hold on. One more. Now I can stitch down, making sure that my elastic's not going to get caught in the seam. Again, I'm going to stop about 1 inch from the end, and I'm going to take that elastic that was from the first corner and attach it down here. I'm just going to put it in diagonally again into the corner and stitch that. Again, I'm going to leave the needle in to make my right turn. I don't want to stitch the elastic in into my seam, so I want to make sure that I tuck it far away from where I'm going to do this long straight line. So I've got that tucked in. My fabric's straight again. I can put my foot down. Again, I'm going to stop about 1 inch from the end and add my second piece of elastic. The same way I did my first, just putting it into the corner diagonally. turn. Again, I'm wanting to be mindful of the elastic, that it doesn't get caught into the seam, so putting it in diagonally. When I get ready to do my turn, again, I'm going to need to stick my finger in there and make sure that the elastic doesn't get caught in the seam. It's not appear that it will. Set my foot down. Now I'm going to stop here because I want to leave about 1.5 inches opening so I can turn the mask inside out again. But I am going to reverse stitch just to secure that hole a little better. I've also found that helps with ironing that seam down. I'll snip my edges. And I'm also going to snip the corners. This just takes some of the bulk out when I reverse it. The corners won't be quite so bulky, they'll be a little easier to sew. Get that stuff out of the way. Now I'm actually going to put the nose piece on now because I want to make sure that it's on the inside and then it's attached. So I'm going to use, I put nose piece guides on my pattern just to help myself here. And because this is adhesive, I want to make sure I'm using the inside layer of the mask fabric, because this is kind of the way these nose pieces are made. It goes a certain way. So this way that'll be on the outside and it'll feel comfortable. And I'm going to put it right under the seam. I want a little bit of space for when I turn it upside down, but I want it right under where I have stitched. And it's nice because that kind of sticks to it. And then I'm going to turn the mask inside out. If you're using the nose piece and you've attached it, that's a great way to start turning it inside out. Get that nose piece, because it's nice and firm, and you can poke it through that hole. And you may need to bend it just a little bit in a curve to pull the nose piece through, and that will help you pull the rest of the fabric through. You can use the little ear loops to help you, but they aren't super secure yet, so I wouldn't pull too hard on them. But you can pull on them a little bit. And you're probably going to have to work with this nose piece for a second because it's stuck to that, so I just need to turn the fabric and straighten that nose piece out again. And then I like to stick my finger in and run it along the edges of the seams. So I'm just going to push the seams out. Again, I find this helps get me a nice straight edge. So I'm just pushing those seams out. And now I have it flat. I'm going to iron this before I pin it. So just so that the cloth is nice and flat and ready for me to pin. So I will be right back. Okay, this is nice and flat now, and I'm ready to make the pleats. I've just been eyeballing the pleats. Your goal is to get 3 pleats in. I have found that I need to make them smaller than I think, and it's easy enough to iron it and redo it if you're not sure. But you are going to use the straight pins to pin your pleats in. So I just take a little bit at the top and I pinch. Try to make sure the sides are straight. This doesn't look very even, so I need to get that side a little bit wider. So now, like I said, I eyeball it. This looks pretty good. And I'm going to pin each side. So there's one side. I flip it over to pin the other side. And then you do your next pleat. And again, you're just gonna pinch and push some under. Make sure your sides are pretty straight and that it looks straight mostly across. Again, these masks are very forgiving, so if you're not perfect, it will be okay. The pleats are just to help the mask poof out away from your mouth and nose and give your nose some room. And then the last pleat, make sure you've got room at the bottom. So now I have my mask pretty much ready to go to sew the last things. I'm gonna start at this bottom corner and I'm gonna stitch around 2 times, and I'm gonna pay special attention to where my nose piece is because I'll do an extra stitch to go down and around it and secure it just a little bit better. You wanna go around your mask 2 times because that really secures the elastic and it will keep your mask from falling apart when you're wearing it and in the wash. So starting in this corner, you'll have to do a pretty small edge on when you do the border of your mask. That way you can secure the edges. I'm going to use the same old trick where the needle is in and I lift the foot and just turn the fabric. Now here's a part where you want to make sure you don't sew your pins. And you might have to lift your foot to tuck in the pleats. And go pretty close to the edge. I wasn't quite close enough, I'm going to go one more. Now this is the side that has my nose piece, so I want to feel for where my nose piece is and make sure I don't ruin my needle by sewing right through it. So right when I think I'm getting close, I'm going to put my foot down, my needle's down, lift my foot, turn it to the, like a right turn, and I'm only going to need to make 1 stitch. You might need to make 2, you'll have to get a feel for how you're doing your borders there. And then I can stitch straight through where the nose piece ends, which is right there. And I'm going to do that same thing. My needle's down, I'm going to turn my fabric. I'm only going to need to do 1 stitch because that's how it's been working for me. And then I go to finish it. I'm going to do these, I've got my last side here, hold on. Again, if you need to lift your foot to make sure your pleats get down, then go ahead and do that. If you need to pull your needles back or take them out as you sew, do that. Okay. And then when you have gotten around, now you're just going to repeat it. You can absolutely take your pins out at this point, especially if they're pokey or they're getting loose because we pulled on them. And you're just going to try to stitch over exactly where you've stitched before. Much faster and easier the second time. Again, don't forget to watch out for your nose piece on the top. last corner, once you've gone around twice, I like to do a little extra stitch and a little back stitch, just to make sure those stitches are secure. Then you can trim your extra string. Careful not to cut your elastic. And we're ready to add the adjusters. With these masks and the nose piece, you want to be sure that you don't ever just bend it all the way in half. These masks you want to either store hanging or store flat. They work fine for molding to your nose, but I have found when my kids try to fold the mask in half that the metal breaks, and that is highly inconvenient. So to add the adjusters to the sides, you're going to just use your piece of thread, put it through your loop, your ear loop, and then you can put the thread through the fat end. So the fat end is going down. It helps if the thread's together. And the skinny end is out. This will help secure it. And you just pull your elastic or your shoelace or whatever you're using through. Take the string out. And for me, I like to tie a knot at the end just to make sure that the adjuster doesn't just come right off when you're adjusting. So I try to make a knot as small as I can at the end, or as close to the tip as I can. And now my adjuster will not fall off. I can push it back, but I'd have to push really hard to get it through there. So I can easily adjust. Same thing on the other side. I'm just going to put this through, add it here, put the strings through the fat end, and pull those through until I get the elastic through. I have used thicker elastic than this. This trick works just fine. You just need to make sure you get some kind of knot or some kind of edge tied into it, or sewn into it, so that it doesn't go through the adjuster when you're using it. And here you have a very secure and healthy face mask. Thank you, everyone.